keynote. Urhobo Wado. Urhobo Wado. America Wado. America High. That's the first time I heard that here. Urhobo America, Isi Kokuri, Isagwari. Please permit me to observe all protocols and thank you so very much for considering me worthy enough to stand before you today to deliver this keynote address to this august assembly on this august occasion, and guess what? Also in the month of August 2013. I'm humbled, I'm happy, and I'm honored to be a proud son of Urhobo land today. Now, thank you. From the general theme of this convention, the general theme is talked about the unity of the Urhobo nation. I have decided to dwell on the topic, how the present challenges of the Urhobos should unite them. Our present challenges, how these challenges should unite the Urhobos. Now, history has taught us that from the throes of collective adversity, a stronger, more united people often arise. And so when people face a lot of adversity, it tends to bring them together to form a united whole in order at times to even fight the adversity. For instance, we have read that in the final stages of World War II in 1945, the United States conducted what they call the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, the first to be hit in 1945 was a town called Hiroshima. That bomb that hit Hiroshima was equivalent to 20,000 tons of TNT. If you know about bombs, you know what we're talking about. 20,000 tons of, even 1 ton will reduce the whole of this building. 1 ton of TNT. But 20,000 tons of TNT was what was used on Hiroshima. It reduced the city to complete rubble, killing tens of thousands of civilians. Now, whilst the Japanese, they were still reeling from that blow, 3 days later, the United States struck again, this time in Nagasaki. Now, both cities were reduced to complete rubble, and no one ever thought that the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki could rise again. But the people fought back. They fought back to reclaim their land. They were united by that adversity. They toiled and labored to build and rebuild the city. Now, guess what? Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki have risen from the ruins of the Second World War to some of the leading industrial cities of the world. Their large industries include the famous Mazda and the Mitsubishi car industries you hear about. They are in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was where no pin was found after the bombings in 1945. Other examples of very heroic struggles of a people abound in history. From the blacks in South Africa to the Irish people in the United Kingdom, and from the struggles of the Maori people in New Zealand to the fight for independence by the Aboriginal people in Australia. Today, the Urhobos who are located in that tropical rainforest belt of the Western Niger Delta region find themselves facing oppression of unprecedented dimension. The Urhobos have crude oil aplenty, beneath their soil. Yet, not one Urhobo son or daughter knows the color of an oil license. Not one knows the color of an oil license that has been given freely to people who are not even from that region. The billionaires and multi-billionaires from oil in our country. In fact, recently, and I'm sure you read about it, one of them said he made so much money from the sale of an oil license that he did not know what to do with the money. That is the type of oppression of unprecedented dimension that we face in Urhobo land. The Urhobos, who are the 5th largest tribe in Nigeria, they have no son or daughter that has been appointed in this political dispensation, and this has been repeated often, in this forum. Nobody has been appointed into the Federal Executive Council or even the head of any strategic or important board of any federal government department or agency. The Urhobos have been skimmed out of the political hierarchy in Nigeria. Now, as if these woes we face at the federal level are not enough, at the state level, we continue to face similar woes. And this is despite the fact that the Urhobos were at the forefront. They were at the forefront of the battle for the creation of Delta State. And yet, we are now treated like minorities, even within Delta State. Remind me names, the icons like people who fought for the creation of Delta State. Icons like the great Daniel Okumagba, the late B.M. Ogaga, the late Chief Reri, Paide. Remind me names. There's so many, you know them more than myself. Many of prominent Urhobo sons and daughters who fought for the creation of Delta State. Yet we face these wars even within Delta State. However, like the Arab Palestinians who were in the majority, but we allocated a smaller portion of Palestine in 1947, the Urhobos, who are in the majority in Delta State, have been allocated smaller portions of the resources of the state in terms of infrastructural development and even political privileges. But yet we are in the majority in that state. In order to achieve this evil plan against the Urhobo people, an attempt was first made to artificially decimate the Urhobos through census figures. That was the beginning of the plan. They wanted to reduce our figures through census to make sure that the allocation of resources to us were also reduced. When, for instance, Delta State was created on the 27th of August 1991, Urhobos had 58%, 58% of the population of Delta State at that time, Urhobos. However, by the last census, the Urhobos have been decimated to 34% of the population of Delta State. Have been decimated to 34% at the last census. And guess what? On the lighter side though, yet the Urhobos are the ones who marry more wives. They bear more children. We are the most certified polygamists in Delta State. That's on the lighter side. And yet we are saying we are reducing. We are not the ones increasing in Delta State. That's unacceptable. And I'm speaking seriously. However, you see politicians, our so-called politicians and political representatives, they keep looking why this nonsense goes on. Now take UPUA local government area, for instance. That is my local government area. At the last census, when our own enumerators, we carried our own enumerators to work with the National Population Commission officials. When our own enumerators brought their own figures, UPUA local government area, and without having to cause any war, you know that UPUA is the hub of Delta State, the commercial activities in Urhobo land. Where everybody refers to it as worry. But the major part of worry now is UPUA, where you have commercial activities. They told us, that When we calculated it with them, we came up to 426,000. Hello? 426,000. That was what UPUA came up to. Our own figures. However, just wait for this. However, when official figures came out, they released 192,000. Oh, enough. They now said they cleaned the register. After cleaning the register and reviewing it, they further reduced it again to 188,000. UPUA local government became 188,000. That was why, out of patriotic anger, I took up that case on behalf of my people, the UPUA people, and I went to the Census Tribunal. And after a 4-year legal battle, just 2 months ago, if you read it, the Census Tribunal cancelled the figures in UPUA. I won the case for it. They cancelled the case, the figures, and they ordered a recount of UPUA. So we are waiting for them to come and recount it, because they ordered the recount, the Census Tribunal in Abuja ordered the recount of UPUA. I wish other communities also took up their cases like that too. So you can see that they tamper with our numbers so as to inflict on that development on us. Today, Urhobo land presents a vista of abandoned projects, unending projects, and even broken promises by various governments. A few of these will suffice. Take the state-owned Bendel Steel Factory. It's a case in point. It has been abandoned for many years, and it has been left to deteriorate. Take the Efu-Osubi-Eku Road project that continues to gulp billions of naira each year in the budget. Yet the pace of work on that road is slower than the movement of a snail. And we only see excavators when construction machines when the rains begin. It's only when rain they fall they form activity. Urhobo boy say, worry boy say that they form activity, like say something they happen. Nothing they happen. Only when rain they fall, now you see excavators they come out. Hello? The independent power project at Ogarefe is also a case in point. The independent power project at Ogarefe. Apart from the insult of awarding the contract to those who know nothing about power projects, when indeed we have competent sons and daughters who can effectively handle the project has got billions of hard-earned resources without any visible activity on the site. This year alone, a further 4 billion naira has been allocated in the budget for that project, and nothing is going on there. The Asaba-Ugeli dualization project, the road, has also got billions of naira, far more than the work we see that has been done so far on that road, without any known timeline for its completion. The second runway, an expansion of the Osubi Airport. From my little recollection, it has got more than 13 billion naira. They said they are expanding Osubi Airport and doing the second runway. It has got more than 13 billion naira. And that money, I dare say, is almost enough to even build a brand new airport. But just to expand the runway, they have spent 13 billion naira so far in the last 3 budgets on the Osubi second runway and expansion of the runway. There are also no drainages in most parts of Urhobo land, leaving our people swimming in dirty, filthy water during rainy season. Just come to around, Urhobo land during rainy season. Flood all over the place. Swimming in dirty, filthy water during rainy season. Yet we have so many rivers and streams to which we can channel these waters. Even if the topography is too flat, or the topography is not good enough to aid the drain of water, they can use these big underground pipes, heavy underground pipes, to suck the water away. We're not just criticizing, we're offering practical solutions. You see it all over the world. We traveled all, you see them here. You don't have to do surface drainage. You can you can suck the water, even the topography is all, you can do the water can flow against the topography once you can use pipes to suck them away into, streams and rivers. But that, they are not doing. They prefer to squander our money. I also cannot remember the last time a modern flyover or overpass, they call them overpass in America, but the flyover, has been built in Urhobo land. Yet we know we need some of them in our cities as our population continues to grow. Look at traffic all the time. In a full roundabout. Go and see Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. You see modern flyovers within Uyo. When Warri was reigning in 1950 something, where was Uyo? Uyo was a village with some small bush parks. Uyo, go and see Uyo now and compare it to Warri. You see modern flyovers all over Uyo. They are full roundabouts. The Jakpa Junction, the Airport Road Junction, the Elere Junction are all in need of flyovers to ease traffic flow in our commercial city. Even a bridge to connect the Osubi Road to PTI Road is also needed. With the need to reroute the high-tension electric wires around there, you can reroute them and put a flyover there instead of going to, crowd the roundabout all the time when you're going to turn. You can come and you're coming from Osubi. There's no reason why you cannot fly over straight into PTI Road, across the highway. It's our city, it's our town, it's our village, so we can talk about them. We know the terrain. They can't talk about our cities more than we can talk about our cities. These are real developments that we want to witness in Urhobo land, rather than the present state of decay that we are witnessing. However, these underdevelopments ultimately result in a lack of commercial activities. In those days, when Urhobo land was a beehive of commercial activities, we produced truly wealthy men. I even disagree with the last speaker, permit me, that these days we have too many rich men competing with themselves. I'm sorry, no. Compare it to other tribes around us. Compare what we have to other tribes around us. In those days, we produced real, true, great, wealthy men amongst us. If you remind me some of the names, maybe I was too small to remember, but we grew up to hear of the Edewas, the Sisios, the Mosheshes. You remind me, not the Keyamo, so we're not part of it. But we heard of truly wealthy men that made their money from commercial activities within Urhobo land. Now, there's a significant power shift in economic advantage in Delta State. I'm sure you agree with me. There's a power shift in economic advantage in Delta State. Now, please do not misquote me. I'm not saying other tribes are not entitled to economic prosperity. I'm only saying that I'm only preaching here that we should live and let's live. I'm here to preach equity and justice. I'm here to preach equal opportunities for all. You cannot come and say our boys, Urhobo boys, are so impoverished now that they don't have economic advantage. But you see other tribes, without mentioning, around us, go to Warri, you see them with convoys. You see them buying all the choice properties around. You know the names I'm talking about. You know the people I'm talking about. They are the ones dominating Urhobo land now with their wealth. We are saying, let's live and let's live. Let there be justice and equity for all. Let us also have our voice empowered, to that level too. The struggle of the Urhobos is a struggle that conforms to the principle of self-determination. It is not self-determination in the sense of secession, no. This is a kind of self-determination that Woodrow Wilson referred to when he said on the 11th of February 1918, and I quote Woodrow Wilson, "National aspirations must be respected. People may now be dominated and governed only by their own consent. Self-determination is not a mere phrase, it is an imperative of action." In other words, there should be no external compulsion in the determination of the fate of the Urhobos. The Urhobos have the inalienable right to determine their own fate. Our fate should not be in the hands of foreigners. To the extent that the United Nations Charter on Human Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights recognize the right to self-determination of all indigenous peoples around the world, then our struggle is a moral struggle. It is a just struggle. It is a legal and constitutional struggle. It's a basis for us to fight to protect those natural rights given to us based on the historical ties we enjoy as a people in our 24 clans in Urhobo land and our cultural and historical uniqueness from other tribes. Our fathers and mothers for the creation of Delta State to let their dream become a distant memory because of our inaction. We shall not allow that to happen. A note of caution here though. In struggling for our rights, let us not promote hate with our neighbors. They are our wives, they are our husbands, they are our cousins, and they are our friends. We are all fighting to have equal rights with all of them. Martin Luther King of this country once said that, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. So, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, this is a critical junction we find ourselves now in our history as Urhobo people. The choices we make now will determine to a large extent the history of the Urhobos in many years to come. And here I am talking about the choices we make regarding the leadership of the Urhobo people. We're talking of two types of leadership. Both the socio-cultural leadership on the one hand and the political leadership on the other hand. This is the critical junction we have to make those decisions. If you look critically at the examples of struggles of the different peoples with which I began this speech, you will see how focused, effective leadership is the elixir necessary to liberate a people. The leadership of Yasser Arafat through the PLO was critical to the Palestinians at the point. The leadership of the like of Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, etc., were critical to the African National Congress during the years of the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. The leadership of Jerry Adams has also been critical to advancing the cause of the Irish people. What about the rules? Though our situation may not be as dramatic as the example cited above, but the pain and deprivation we feel is also no less. As we try to unchain ourselves from the shackles of political slavery, our leadership in Urhoboland at this time has a big role to play to determine the trajectory of the struggle. We have a big role, the leadership at this time. As to the socio-cultural leadership, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce to you that in respect of the socio-cultural leadership, we have found a leader in the true sense of the word. Permit me the indulgence, I ask for your indulgence to say this. In the true sense of the word, a visionary, honest, and selfless leader. He's not a man of too many words, but he's focused and committed to our cause. That person is retired Major General Patrick. Please take a bow. You are a general for today or that is what the last week I talked about. We don't need unnecessary fight and distraction amongst us now. We need to rally support around our leader now. We don't need big men poking their heads all over to say they are bigger than the UPU. For now, he's the leader of the UPU. I understand he pays his way to every function of UPU. He does not use the funds of UPU. I have fought corruption in the country. I am a lead prosecutor for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I have sent people to jail for corruption. I find this man incorruptible. Yeah. I find him incorruptible. The last time they went to Abuja to see the president, and a welfare package was given to them to the tune of about 6 million naira. The whole of the UPU delegation, 6 million was given to them as welfare. And in the true spirit of a leader, he came back and he put that money, he had the whole of the money in the account of the Urhobo College. Say Urhobo College to use the money. As for our political leadership, the search continues. After the untimely death of our brother and friend, Senator Pius Igwerido, We are looking for that courageous, honest, outspoken leader to represent the Urhobo people in the Senate. We are not looking for money bags without character. No, we're not looking for money bags without character. We're not looking for big names without conscience. We're not looking for noisemakers who are empty vessels or political puppets being controlled by their hidden masters. No, we want people with strong character, with their own mind, to represent the Urhobo people. People come and throw money around. We're not looking. We are looking for that one. For that one, like David in the Bible, that God has chosen to lead his people, like David. Hello? In the Bible, God said, look, there is a king amongst you. I want to make a king amongst you, the family. And they brought out all the big men, all the big names. And God said, no, sorry, it's not all these people. And they said, but everybody has finished. There's nobody left again now. We have brought out everybody. And the only person left is one boy in the field looking. God said, that is that one. Go and bring him for me.
Yes.
Hello? Hello. It is the person God has chosen to lead these people we are looking for.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present myself as an aspirant to the vacancy. I must present myself.
Yes. Our next governor.
That's the general team. You will not extract a topic from a thing.